The Dearborn Independent, July 2nd, 1921, number 36. Mr. Ford's page. Use is the antidote for the twin evils of waste and economy. These are both destructive, one of matter and the other of mind. The savings habit can be overdone, especially by young men. To use what you have and what you are is much better than merely to save what you have. The best saving you can make is to invest in yourself. Make use of your money to make yourself more useful, and then, in your proper career, you can handle the savings matter with ease. The only proper economy is use. The only cure for waste is proper use. The terms waste and use have no meaning apart from the individual. We cannot destroy matter. We can miss our opportunity with it and misuse it, that's all. Our own interests are all locked up in the principle of use. It is rather a strange arrangement of nature that only the most precious values can be wasted. You can waste time, you can waste labor, you can waste material, and that is about all. You cannot waste money. You can misuse money, but you cannot waste it. It is still somewhere. You can waste your own opportunity to use it for benefit, but that is all, which would seem to put money in at least the second class. Time, energy, and material are worth more than money because they cannot be purchased by money. Not 1 hour of yesterday, nor 1 hour of today can be bought back. Not 1 ounce of energy can be bought back. Material wasted is wasted beyond recovery. These things are in the front rank of values. They are the precious elements out of which all wealth is made. It is worth noting that these precious values are not of human creation. We have done a great deal with our human intelligence and energy. We have accomplished much by the manipulation of natural material and forces, but the severely modifying fact remains that ourselves and all we have worked with and the very intelligence we have worked by were not our own creation. So, while mankind may be pleased and even thankful, it ill becomes it to be boastful. All our values were given us. Mind values, power values, material values were all here. And we, the human race, have simply been cutting our eye teeth on some of the elementary problems. The tree makes apples, mankind makes engines and philosophies. The tree cannot boast itself to be very original and powerful. It does what it was given power to do. But mankind always has promise of being permitted to do still greater things. If trees bore different and finer apples every succeeding year, we should say, well, there is progress in the apple kingdom, and someday those apple trees are going to develop into beings of wonderful powers. But we don't see that. We see, however, mankind putting out different and better fruits, age by age, and even helping the tree bear better apples and the bush better berries. And therefore we say, well, there will come a time when this wonderfully endowed and protected race of beings will work in some finer material than steel, and by some finer force than electricity or gaseous explosions. Its present progress has every sign of being only preparation. The waste which we practice upon the original store of wealth is always repairing itself. That is to say, the time we waste is wasted for us, not for time. Somewhere the unused hours and days return to original source where there are neither days nor hours, nor yet time, but endless duration. Hours and days are doled out to us as small coin to see how we will use them. It is the same everywhere. Wasted material is replaced. The earth never ceases making what we need and is prepared to fill future needs of which we haven't now the slightest foreknowledge. If men waste energy, it is lost to them as individuals. The great reservoir of energy on which all life draws is not exhausted. Therefore, the great word of life is use. Some would say economy. Not so. The word economy represents a half-idea born of fear. Its history is something like this. The great and tragic fact of waste is brought home to the mind by some circumstance, usually of a most materialistic kind. Or there comes a violent reaction against extravagance. For even nature rebels against our unwise courses, which is the reason why so many people break down from overwork, which is not overwork at all. And as a sudden revulsion against it all, the mind catches hold of the idea of economy. It flies from a greater evil to a lesser one. It does not make the full journey from error to truth. Economy is the rule of half-alive minds. There can be no doubt that it is better than waste. Neither can there be any doubt that it is not as good as use. People who pride themselves on their economy sometimes bristle when it is attacked, as if one of the virtues had been denounced. It is principally in the interests of the economizers that this attitude is taken. For if there is anything more pitiable on earth than a poor, pinched mind spending the rich days and months pinching at a few pieces of metal or paring the outer necessities of life to the very quick, if there is anything more pitiable, where is it? Obviously, a practice that so pinches the mind is a wrong one. We all know economical people who seem to be niggardly even about the amount of air they breathe and the amount of appreciation they will allow themselves to give anything. They are all shriveled up. Indeed, economy is waste. It is waste of the juices of life, the sap of living. For there are two kinds of waste, that of the prodigal who throws his substance away in riotous living, and that of the sluggard who allows his substance to rot from non-use. In the precious things of life, the strict economizer is in danger of being classed with the sluggard. The beauty of the principle of use is that it obtains all of the advantages of economy, and at the same time gives healthy expression to all the instincts of which wastefulness are diseased symptoms. Most people's extravagance is a reaction from severe suppression of expenditure. Most people's economy is a reaction from extravagance. Under the principle of use, the expansive experience of expenditure is obtained, as well as the self-control and economic discipline of economizing. Everything was given us to use. There is no evil from which we suffer that did not come about through misuse. There is no function which human beings can fulfill that is not good. But we have all about us the spectacle of whole nations having to make laws against things, not bad fundamentally, but bad in their misuse. The worst possible sin we can commit against the things of our common life is to misuse them. Misuse is the wider term. We like to say waste, but waste is only one phase of misuse. All waste is misuse. All misuse is waste. It is possible even to overemphasize the savings habit. It is proper and desirable that everyone have a margin. It is really wasteful not to have one, if you can have one, but it can be overdone. We teach children to save their money. As an attempt to counteract thoughtless and selfish expenditure, it has its value, but it is not positive. It doesn't lead the child out into safe and useful avenues of self-expression or self-expenditure. To teach a child to invest is better. Most men are saving a few dollars who, if they would invest those few dollars first in themselves and then in some useful work, would find it easier to save because they would have more to save. Young men ought to be investing instead of saving. They ought to be investing in themselves to increase their creative value. After they have brought themselves to their peak of usefulness, then will be time enough to think of laying aside as a fixed policy a certain substantial share of income. You are not saving when you are preventing yourself from becoming more productive. You are really taking out of your ultimate capital. You are reducing yourself in value as one of nature's investments. The principle of use is the main guidepost. Use is positive. Use is life-giving. Use is alive. Use adds to the sum of good. Start out on that principle. You will have just as much materially, but you will have a great deal more mentally and spiritually. Investment is the prerequisite of returns. Investment is, in the old-fashioned term, putting out to use.